Happy Eid Mubarak to my Muslim brothers and sisters. Good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen, in the house out there. And I'm so excited to welcome you all to yet another promising session on the Forex Morning Mastery session. I first of all would like to apologize for coming a little bit late. I had some technical issues which I was trying to resolve to ensure that we have a better experience out here. And kindly, I would do appreciate that you confirm that things are actually working very fine in terms of the audio quality and the visuals. There are no freezings. Please let me know in the comment section if there are any so that I can do adjustments in due time. So welcome everyone to another promising session. So today, as usual, we are going to be diving into an exciting and insightful technical analysis of the financial instrument that we have been monitoring through since the beginning of the week through a comprehensive price action based perspective. And we are going to also explore the recent movements and chart patterns of this instrument, while we also uncover key insights that can potentially shape our trading decisions for today. And for those who are joining us for the first time, you are welcome. And what we simply do here is to come together as a community, gathering in anticipation of both the New York and London sessions. And during these times, we are going to be reviewing, managing our current or existing positions, while we also aim to position ourselves strategically for today's trading sessions. What we do here is to analyze the 1 hour time frame basically, and this is as a result of the fact that I already did a top-down analysis where I looked at the higher time frame during the course of the weekend, and I have the videos on my public platform. You can access them right in the description box of this current video you are watching, as this will help you have a background knowledge of where we are coming from and how we got to the current market structure you will be seeing on the 1 hour time frame. And it will also help you to be able to make your independent decision with the information you will be gathering in that video, and they are duly timestamped so you can easily navigate to whichever aspect of the video you is of your interest. So once again, you are welcome on board. So in the last 24 hours, we've begun to see some traction, though the week started on a relatively calm state, as we saw price action was initially range bound throughout the Monday's trading session, and we talked about that yesterday, and we were expecting that if price action breaks out of that range, we are going to beginning to see some traction in that regard. And of course, we're beginning to see something come up as regards to the current market structure. And today is another special day. We are going to be looking forward to the ECB's annual conference, which is coming up at Sinatra, and we are going to be seeing the representative of all the central banks have a speech today, which everyone definitely want to be looking forward to. So today's another important day where participants in the market will be looking forward to what these representatives will be saying. And as a result of this, we might likely be seeing some consolidation phase, revealing the level of indecision in the market while we anticipate this event. So we shouldn't be caught unawares when this happens. So with that being said, let's dive right into the business. And you know how we do it. The first thing we want to be doing is to check the economic calendar, and you know how important this is for us. As you know, these fundamental factors often manifest on the chart in technical patterns and price movements, and by monitoring the economic calendar, we can easily identify potential correlations between key economic releases and specific technical patterns. And as a result of this, we can easily position ourselves in such a way that we can catch potential trading opportunities prior, during, or even after this event. So for today, June 28th, that's Wednesday, we have a handful of high impact event coming up today, which majority of them are actually speeches from the top central bank governors. We have from the Fed chairmen, the U.S. Federal Reserve is going to be speaking. We have the Bank of England's governor too, who's going to be having a speech. And we are going to be having a speech from Ueda, who is the the governor of the Bank of Japan, and then President Lagarde too, who is the governor for the Euro Central Bank. So we are going to be looking forward to this event, which is going to be happening simultaneously. So we are going to see how the market will be anticipating this event from a technical standpoint and what we might likely look out for during the speeches. Then later on today, we are going to be having the bank stress test coming in from the U.S. economic docket, which is one event that everyone will be looking forward to. And this test result is released by the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, and it presents a result of a bank stress test for the largest U.S. banking sector. So this test is conducted to determine their reaction to different financial situations. And one important thing about this event is that it's going to help us have an insight into the health situation of the U.S. banking sector, and it's one thing everyone will want to be looking forward to as well. So aside this, there are no other high impact events. So with the information we have gathered here, let's dive right into the chart and let's start looking at things from a technical standpoint. So as usual, the first instrument we are going to be taking today is, of course, the US All Spot. Now, we had a quite interesting situation here in the last 24 hours as we saw our price action had moved significantly well to the downside, giving us a minimum of 200 pips to catch here on this one. And let's talk about what happened yesterday and what led into the situation we are witnessing at this particular point in time. So at the beginning of the week, we initially acknowledged our price action gave us a bullish gap at the beginning of the week, which actually revealed the institutional sentiment in the market during the course of the weekend. And as a result of this, we saw a bearish move at the beginning of the week where price action started at around that $70 level. And since that moment, we can see here that price is yet to break out of that structure. And this is a clear sign that sellers are very strong in this market at this particular point in time. And in addition to that, we had a range identified after spotting how price action was trapped within the $70 level and the $69 area. And as a result of this flat channel, you know how we do it whenever we have this kind of simple setup. We want to wait for price action to either break out of the resistant line to give us an opportunity to buy, or break down of the support line to give us an opportunity to sell. So with our buy stop and sell stop order placed at both ends, we had them triggered at some point. We were taken out at a loss on both occasions, but fortunately for us, we were able to recoup whatever we lost during the start of the week. So in addition to that range we identified there, we had the series of higher lows here connected. So we had a trend line which we said we were going to be using to guide our trading activity for yesterday. And in fact, during our live session, we already saw the breakdown of that structure of the trend line, and we were saying that we are going to be looking forward to a retest of structure to give us that confirmation to join a bearish move below the $69.50 level, which was exactly what happened. And we also had the privilege of maximizing this move by adding more positions at the breakdown, and in fact price came back to retest the $69 area to incite more opportunities in this market. Then we also saw the breakdown of the $68.20 area, which was later taken out this morning at break even when price action came into that entry point. So it has been quite a profitable trade on the US All Spot, and congratulations to every one of you who has been opportune to take advantage of these opportunities. Now that we have this situation figured out for the first half of the week, what is going to be our plans for today? How do we intend to take advantage of any potential trading opportunities during the London and New York session today? So now with the information we have here, hold on a second. I'm not sure what happened right now. Please let me know in the comment section if situations are working very fine out there, because I just saw it stopped out now, which I'm trying to resolve, and I think it's back on. So if you still can see my screen, please let me know in the comment section, and I will be glad you did, as this will help me to be able to do the necessary adjustments to make us have a better experience out here. So for today, Wednesday, what is going to be our plan? So I shared a commentary here this morning as regards to what we are going to be looking out for today. So let's open my public platform. So on the US All Sports, okay, so now, so I said here this morning that all sell positions close with a minimum profit of 200 pips. It's important to note that the price has returned to a robust demand zone, which enhances the potential for buying opportunities at the breakout retest of the $68.20 level. However, if selling pressure continues at this point, we should be prepared for a breakdown retest of the $67.55 zone, which will present further selling opportunities in this market. So going back into the live chat, I want to call our attention to that demand zone I mentioned earlier. So we want to look at that and see how important that structure is in relation to the current market structure. Now, if you remember vividly, on Monday morning when we were doing our first live session for the week, we acknowledge our price action has been caught within a range between the $73.50 level and the $67.50 area to give us a flat channel since the beginning of this month. And this further emphasized the level of indecision in this particular market. And one of the key parameters I mentioned here on Monday, and even in my video on the US All Sport, was how the $67.50 zone has been a major buying niche in this market, hereby negating the continued attempt by the sellers to break through that structure. Then we also saw the same thing happen on Friday of last week's trading session, with a very sharp rejection of that area, giving us a hammer candle, hereby revealing the presence of buyers around that area. Now, if you look at the sell position we are currently in at this particular point in time, you will see that price action is gradually approaching into that demand zone. And at this point in time, we need to be very, very careful, as anything could still happen from this current structure. We could still see buyers come in to take over the market from this area. So we need to be very, very patient at this particular point in time. And to do this, we are going to be looking out for structures around this area to confirm that sellers are still very strong at this juncture for us to join another opportunity to sell in this particular market. But if at any point in time we begin to see buy pressure around this area, well, probably in the form of a double bottom structure, head and shoulder pattern, falling wedge, whichever reversal pattern that it might come up, we might be getting ready to join another wave of bullish momentum. But if a breakthrough happened below this area, it's very likely we are going to be seeing a massive sell-off in this market. So with this information we have on the 4 hours time frame, we shall be scaling back down into the 1 hour time frame to see how we are going to be positioning ourselves ahead of the London and New York session today. So I just needed us to understand what is really going on from an holistic perspective, so that when we start talking on the lower time frame, you would be on the same page with me. So now back into the 1 hour time frame here, there is something I noticed which I didn't update on my public platform when I scaled down into the 15 minutes time frame, and that was the breakdown of this structure which I took advantage of. It took what I think it happened so swiftly that I didn't have the time to okay, I think I was trying to sort out the technical issues I had, so I didn't have the time to update this. So I saw the breakdown retest of that trend line on the lower time frame for me to add more position to this existing trade, and with a sell stop order below the $67.55 level, I have another position running at this particular point in time. And I mentioned in my commentary this morning that we are going to be having a sell stop order below the $67.55 area. So for those who took advantage of that opportunity right there, well done to you for being on standby to catch that move. However, if you had missed out on that opportunity, well, and there's no cause for alarm, there's still the possibility that price could still give us some level of confirmation before that move continues to the downside if sellers will still be dictating the pace in this particular market. So let me zoom right into the current structure here. So we are right within the demand zone, right? And we've mentioned how important this structure is. So let me just shift this one here. So the lowest point prior to the session was that $67.55 area, which has been triggered at this point. So for those who missed out on this opportunity, I will just say that you want to remain patient and wait for new structures to mature around this area, which will come in the form of either price coming back to retest the $67.55 level, where we shall be looking out for reversal patterns around this area to join a trend continuation to the downside. And please don't get carried away with this impulsive move we are seeing right now. Anything could still happen at this point, as this candle is still about 40 minutes old, and we still have about 20 minutes to go on this candle. It could still spring back up to the upside. So as a result of this, you want to be moving your stop losses to break even, especially for those who took advantage of this opportunity around that $67.55 area. So let's see how price action plays out from this current market structure, and trust me, I will be with you in the comment section of both my trading view and Telegram platform to give you updates as at when due. So these are my views here on the US oil spot for today. So we are still holding on to a bearish bias as long as price remain below that $67.55 area. But if at any point in time we start to seeing a reversal pattern like a double bottom structure, head and shoulder pattern, or falling wedge, whatever case it may be, then we will start getting ready to buy the US oil spot. But that will take some time for that evolution to happen. It could take about 2 or 3 hours before the evolution of price action giving us a reversal pattern comes in at this point in time. But I will be with you in the comment section on both my trading view and Telegram platform to give you updates as at when due. If you have any questions regarding what I just explained, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and trust me, I am here and willing to be of help in that regard. I see your comments, Ayodeji. Thank you very, very much for that confirmation that things are going on fine. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. So I'll take the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions before we move on to the next instrument for today. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page. So we shall be moving on to the next instrument for today, which is the GBP USD. Despite a very strong start to very strong bullish momentum at the first half of the week, we're beginning to see some bearish traction, which has triggered some of our sell stop orders as price action has broken down key levels like the 1.274, 250 and the 1.27100 level. So we are going to be talking about this in a moment, but first of all, let's do a quick review of how the week started for us on the GBP USD. And remember, at the beginning of the week, we also had a stop loss hit on this one after price action broke out of that resistant line here at the 1.27400 level. We bought at that point, but unfortunately we were taken out of that position in a loss. And remember that we had a flat channel at the beginning of the week here, where price action was caught within that range between the 1.274 and the 1.27100 area. And not until yesterday we had the privilege of buying into that 1.275, and you can see what happened throughout yesterday stroke the early hours of today. We saw how that 1.27500 area turned out to be a strong selling niche in this particular market. And what I shared this morning on my public platform, let's run through that quickly. What I said as regards to the GBP USD's expectations for today. So this morning, this is what I said here this morning. I said the persistent selling pressure at the 1.275 level indicates a significant presence of sellers in that zone, resulting in the breakdown of the identified ascending trend line on the 4 hours time frame. Selling opportunities on our radar as long as price remain below the 1.274 zone, with the privilege of adding more opportunities at the breakdown of the levels identified on the chart. So now going back into the live chart here, this is what I said here this morning. I said as long as price remains below the 1.274, we shall continue to look out for more opportunities to sell this particular market. Well, some of us will have taken advantage of the sell opportunity here early enough, that is around the 1.275, but unfortunately I wasn't able to take this, as this happened during the midnight. I was fast asleep when this happened. But if you are taking advantage of it right at that point, well done to you for being on standby. But I was able to join around the 1.275 here after price action just broke down the structure in the last couple of hours. So presently, if you are taking from that area, you will currently be running with about 15 to 17 pips in profit at this particular point in time. And for the fact that price action remains below this ascending trend line, we would have no other choice than to continue to look out for more opportunities to sell the GBP USD for today. And for the sake of clarity here, let's run through the 4 hours time frame, where this trend line here is more emphatic, and this will also help us to have a better perspective into what is going on from a long-term time frame. So here we are on the 4 hours time frame, and this is the trend line I was mentioning in my commentary this morning. So I said we finally saw the breakdown of this trend line today after a very long choppy situation where price was caught within that 1.285 and the 1.2770 level, and we saw how price had consistently found lower highs within this time frame to give us an insight into the strength of the sellers at this particular point in time. And if this continues in such a way that it leads to the breakdown of that strong demand zone at the 1.2700 area, then we would have no other choice than to look out for more opportunities to sell the GBP USD today. So let's see how this is going to be playing out. I will be looking out for more opportunities below the 1.2700 area. So what we are going to be doing is we want to see price action break down the 1.27, then retest of structure on our lower time frame to join that bearish move. But if you are already in a sell position at this point, and when price action gets close into the 1.27 and you're already in profit, you can have a sell stop order, leveraging on the profit we have made so far to test waters around the 1.27 and see if the breakthrough is going to be successful. So that is the view here on the 4 hours time frame. So we want to scale back down into the 1 hour time frame to see how we can position ourselves, especially for those who had missed out on these opportunities. So now the first thing I'll say here on the 1 hour time frame, for those who are taking advantage of the breakdown of the 1.272 or the 1.274, or even taking the advantage at the 1.275, you know how we do it in this community. As soon as price action moves significantly well in our favor, we want to move all stop losses to secure the current position. And at this point in time, my opinion here is that we want to be moving our stop losses to anywhere around the 1.27250. I'm giving room for price action to breathe with the hopes that it could still come back and retest that structure before price drops back to the downside. So let's keep this in mind. Move your stop losses on all positions, secure this one, and let's wait out and see what will be happening in the next couple of hours. And remember, this high impact event will be coming up in about 3 or 4 hours from now, so we might likely be seeing some huge traction before that event happens, and then probably a reversal will happen during or after the event, but I will keep you updated as at when due. So these are my views on the US GBP USD for today. So I'm still looking bearish on this one until the structure states otherwise, and if it does, I will definitely give you updates on both my TradingView and Telegram platform. So any questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section. I will take the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions before I move on to the next instrument. We're still looking very bearish at this point, and if we look at the continued selling pressure around here, of the opinion that price still has a high chance of dropping further to the downside. So we are going to be looking out for more opportunities below the 1.27 to maximize that move if the market moves in that direction. So let's see what happens. So on that note, in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are on the same page. So we will be moving on to the next instrument, which is the XAU USD. Now on the XAU USD, we also have a very interesting position here, as we have been selling this instrument since the beginning of the week. Remember, we had a flat channel, which was what we were initially using at the beginning of the week to guide our trading activities. Remember, we had this range between the $1,928.50 level and the $1,922 area. Then we had the privilege of buying at the beginning of the week when price action broke out of that resistant line. Price in fact moved about 40 pips thereabout. We moved our stop loss to break even. Then we were taken out at break even at that point, and we saw how price action came back within that range. Now, one thing that we saw here yesterday that further emphasized the strength of the sellers in this particular market is the fact that price action did a breakdown of this trend line. Remember, at the beginning of the week, we had this trend line figured out after connecting the series of higher lows. And what we said here on Monday is that we are going to be using this trend line to guide our trading activity for this week. And one of the things we said is that if price remains above the trend line, we'll continue to look out for buying opportunity. But if price action drops and breaches the trend line to the downside, then definitely we want to be looking out for selling opportunities. And something interesting happened during the New York session on Monday when we saw the breakdown of the trend line happen here. And in fact, price action came back to retest that structure, which was followed by continued selling pressure around that $1,928.50 level to now give us a clue into how strong the sellers are at this particular point in time. And these are one of the reasons why we held on to a bearish bias. We had a sell stop order below the $1,922 area that was yesterday, and we were opportune to be part of this bearish move to the downside. And since then, price action had continued to drop to the downside here. Then we also had a sell stop order triggered at this point, which is currently running with about it's not much anyways, I think about 9 pips to 10 pips thereabout running currently. So let's see how this is going to be playing out going forward. Then before I go into the details here, let's quickly run through my commentaries on the XAU-USD on both my TradingView and Telegram platform. So on the XAU-USD, what did I share here this morning? Okay, this is my commentary this morning on the XAU-USD. So let's run through that quickly. Then we go back into the live chat and talk about what we are going to be looking at for today. So this is how we have been monitoring price action since yesterday. So this morning I told us here that the selling pressure persists leading up to the ECB's annual forum in Sinatra. Remember, we are going to be listening to the representative of the central banks of the major economies talk today, and I think it's going to be more about the inflation situation, inflation plague across the major economics in the world, which will also give us an insight into what will be really happening in the next coming days or weeks. So we maintain a secure position while seeking further opportunities at a potential breakdown retest of the 1,910 level. So going back into the live chat, this is what we were talking about here. So price action since yesterday has moved over from the 1,928, has moved over 180 pips in our favor. The second position here moved over how many pips now? 120 pips in our favor, while the third position here is currently running at break even at this particular point in time. And I'm still of the opinion that price action might still go to the downside, but it depends on how it reacts to this 1,910 level. Now, if you remember what I said at the beginning of the week, I laid emphasis on how important that $1,910 level is. And if we go to as far back as Fridays of last week's trading session, we saw how that level served as a demand zone at this point in time. And for the fact that price action is back into the structure here, we need to be very, very careful, as bullish momentum could still kickstart from this area to push price to the upside. So we are going to hold on and see how price will be playing out around this area to give us an insight into what is likely going to be happening around this point. So like I said earlier, we have a sell stop order triggered at this point, and our stop losses should be somewhere right above this eye here, which will be dovetailing to about 60 pips thereabout, just right above the $1,916 level. And let's give room for price action to breathe and see if we are going to be having a successful breakdown retest of the 1,910 level. So for today, I'm holding on to a bearish bias as long as price remains below the 1,910 area. However, in as much as we're looking out for selling opportunities at below the 1,910, you know how we do it in this community. We also want to ensure that we keep taps with the opposite direction. So what are the potentials the buyers have from this current structure? Well, since we have the 1,910 level figured out, and we have seen in the past how this level has been a major determinant of buying pressure at one point, we would also consider the strength of the buyers around this area. And if this is going to be the case, what do we want to see on this chart that will emphasize the idea of buying the XAU-USD for today? Well, if we bring out our line chart here, I have a level sitting somewhere around the 1,916. Yes, 1,916, which I'm going to be using as a criteria, a condition to be part of a bullish momentum here. So for the sake of clarity, I would like to label this. So we have it at the 1,916 level. Okay, so we place this at the top right hand side of our screen. Then I want to be looking out for a breakout retest of the structure to start considering buying the XAU-USD today. So if a breakout of the $1,916 level happens at any point in time today, then we could start considering buying the XAU-USD. But I doubt if that will happen anyways. But if it does happen, we want to be on standby to catch that move. So that's the only way we can start considering buying the XAU-USD today. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section. I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to read through the charts and see if there are any questions. All right, so in the absence of no questions, we'll just move into the last instrument for today, which is the USD JPY, which appears to be gaining some traction in the last 24 hours or so. We are going to be looking at that in a moment. So here we are on the USD JPY 1 hour time frame, and if you look at the structure closely and looking at what has been happening since the beginning of the week, it is clear it is more bullish than bearish at this particular point in time. And one of the things we identified at the beginning of the week as regards to the structure was the fact that price action was initially caught within a range, just like what happened last week when we saw price action fell into a range for over 3.5 days, and it appears that the same thing is going on at this point. Now, one key economic thing about the USD JPY is how the Japanese have been managing their monetary policy in that part of the world, which is not favoring the yen. The current governor, who has insisted on not increasing interest rates to fight the inflation, and one of the reasons why he said this was to increase the exportation that is making their goods and services cheaper to the outer world. And if this happens, there will be more exportation, people will buy, and hereby reducing allowing liquidity to flow in the economy. But on the other side, the fact that the yen is not increasing interest rate is causing a huge margin compared to other currency pairs. And in this case scenario, the USD has been increasing interest rate. Definitely majority will want to put their funds in the dollar because of the high interest yield on that instrument. So, and this has been affecting the USD Japanese yen in the last couple of months now, as we can see how the dollar had continued to rise to the upside. And as a result of this, we saw what happened here this week. We even have a couple of trend lines here that has been projecting more opportunities to buy the USD JPY. So we connected a series of higher lows yesterday, if you remember, and we had a bullish trend line. And what we agreed here yesterday is that as long as price remain above this trend line, we shall feel comfortable in a buy position, while we also look out for more opportunities to buy the USD JPY. Now, in the last couple of hours now, since the early hours of today, we've seen a situation where price action finally have broken out of the 143.900 area. Now, with the situation we have here, I already identified two key levels that we are going to be using to buy the USD JPY. It's looking very bearish at this point, anywhere above the 144.050 and the 144.150. We definitely want to be having a buy stop order around this area to capture this move all the way to the upside. The only thing that will make me change my idea from bullish to bearish at this point is for price action to drop back below the 143.900 to inside a bearish momentum to the downside. So if this does not happen, I'm going to continue to hold on to a bullish bias here as long as price remains above this trend line. So you want to mark this trend lines out on your charts, as we are going to be using this to guide our trading activity today. And I'm of the opinion that any move out of that range between the 144.150 and the 143.900 is going to be very, very massive. So let's see how price action plays out around the zone in the next couple of hours. And trust me, I am going to be with you both in the comment section of my Trading View and Telegram platform. So Kiza Lau Ben is asking, should I buy or sell? I guess you're talking about the USD JPY. And if that is the case, I just explained here that I continue to look out for buying opportunity as long as price action remains above this trend line. So like I said, I already have a buy triggered at the 144.050. Then I'm going to be placing another buy stop order above the 144.150 area to maximize the potential move to the upside. But if price drops below the 143.900 here on the USD JPY, we would have no other choice than to get ready to sell the USD JPY. Jonah Aruna, good morning to you. Glad to have you around. Trust you are doing very, very well. Thank you for checking in on me. Thank you very, very much. Richard Blackett is asking, what do you mean when you say secure your position? Well, very simple. Secure, protect. When you say secure, I mean protect your position. So when your position is triggered and price action is moving very well in our favor, the next thing we want to be doing is to protect our position. Secure your position by moving your stop losses to lock in the current profit. So just in case that price action moves against you, you are not going to be taken out in a loss, especially when you're already in profit. So once price moves in our favor, we move all our stop losses to break even, or move it to move our stop losses further to the upside if price action continues to climb key levels. So that is what securing your position actually means. I hope I made myself clear. Richard, let me know in the comment section if that was well explanatory. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to read through the chat and see if there are any comments. And if there are none, I will just draw the curtain for today and then see you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platform. So any questions, anyone? All right. So in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page here. So I would like to draw the curtain at this point, and just to remind you, we are going to be having the XAU USD live monitoring platform come up by 12:45 UTC, 11:45 UTC, sorry. We are going to be looking at that in a moment. So let me just share the link in the comment section so that we don't miss out on that one when it finally comes online. So I will share the link to the XAU USD live session, which will be coming up in about 2 or 3 hours from now. So I have it shared in the comment section right now. So you want to click on the notify button so that you will be notified when it finally comes online. Okay, so there you are. All right, on that note, I want to wish you best of luck today, and I hope to see you right in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platform as we continue to monitor price action. Do have a wonderful evening, everyone, and please don't forget to like this project if it has been of immense help in making your independent decision on the instrument we are working so far. Your likes are valuable as it helps the YouTube algorithm to push this video to a wider audience of traders who would also find this material useful to them. So thank you very much as you do so. Cho Wang asking, how long do you wait before entering the market when price action breaks and support resistance? Well, it depends on what current position we are. So if we're already in profit in whatever position we have, we just place our buy stop and sell stop order at that resistance level, then we join. But if it is the start of the week, we want to wait for breakout retest depending on the tempo of that momentum. If we have a very strong momentum, that is, if price action is on a strong on a trend line, on a bullish trend line, then that level that we identified, we want to have a buy stop order above it. So as long as price remains above a trend line, like an ascending trend line, we want to have a buy stop order. So like this case scenario on the USD JPY, where we have a trend line which indicates that price action is bullish at this particular point in time, having a buy stop order above the 144.050 seems more reasonable. So we don't need to wait for a retest of structure to happen in this kind of scenario. And to buttress that, we're already in profit on the USD JPY, so we can afford to leverage on the profit we have made to capitalize on any potential bullish opportunity above that area. So that is what we do here. So how long do you take? That is It doesn't have a time frame. It just depends on the market structure, and I always give updates in that regard. So once I put an arrow there, you should know you should get in. If we are on a trend line, just get in and join the momentum all the way. Unless the trend line is breached, then that setup will be negated at any point. So Richard Blackett, you're welcome. Glad you found that useful. Thank you very much. And on this note, I'm Chowang. I hope I made myself clear. Let me know in the comment section if that was well understood, and if it's not, please let me know. I will rephrase my statement and make it much more clearer. So thank you very much, guys, for being around. It has been a wonderful moment with you guys, and I look forward to seeing you in the comment section of both my public platform, and also look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we get prepared for the new day. Do have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye-bye.